Well, hello, fellow graphic designers. Welcome back to Graphic Design. Today, we begin the process of our second draft of our music poster. Now, if you have not done your first draft, that's your first order of business. If you have not uploaded your first draft as a JPEG to the Google Slides, that's your second order of business. And if you have not left 3 pieces, at least, you could do more, 3 pieces of feedback to other posters, that's your third order of business. Those 3 things need to be done before you continue on this video. So if you have not done your first draft, your upload to the slides, or done the critique, press stop and go do those assignments. If you've done all those, welcome, you're in the right spot. Today we begin the work on our second draft. And what we need to do with our second draft is we need to take that feedback we got from our critique and apply it to our second draft. Now, maybe you don't have a lot of critique on your poster yet. Maybe you're just uploading it and you need to wait a little bit. That's okay. All right, we're going to have some work time the next couple weeks on this poster. And you'll at least have one comment from me, so you can start there. And before you start your second draft, I'd like to point out a couple things I've noticed as I've been looking at some of these posters. Now, normally in graphic design, we'd be in the classroom and I'd be able to put all the posters up on the screen and we could talk about them together and learn about what things we could do to make them look really great. I can't really do that. So if you'll hang in there, I have a few minutes. I just want to walk you through a couple things in Lucidpress that will help our designs from what I've been noticing so far. After you watch that, then it's time to dig into your second draft. So check this out. All right, here I have a couple examples of things I've been noticing in your work so far. First off, this is a music poster for Daft Punk, and we have a few things that aren't quite right yet. First is that I put my title on top of an image, and that's okay, but we need to make sure we can read it. So we have a couple options. First, I could try to change the color. Black doesn't work. Yellow, I can kind of read it. Red, orange, I kind of like orange, but I still can't really see it. So what I can do is I click my image and I go over to the side here under the image tab, and I can go to opacity. And I can slowly bring the opacity down, which makes it a little more invisible until, boom, that's better. Not quite there yet. I'm going to try one more thing. Click my text, go to the shape tab, and down to shadow. I'm going to turn on this shadow with a black shadow, kind of mess around with the controls, and now that's really popping. I can read that much better. We have this image here, and one other thing I noticed is that we have a vector stock water print. We need to get rid of that because technically that's so we don't use their images without permission. A couple ways to do that. Easiest is to go over here to crop and mask. This little strange icon over here, we click that. It's going to open up this little area, and there's 2 things you see. We have a blue square and a black rectangle. The black rectangle allows me to change how much of the image we can see. I can move that up. Maybe I want to edit a couple other spots to make this just a little smaller. I didn't like how big it was. I'm cropping it, cropping off those little white marks in the corners. Up a little bit, and all I do is hit enter. Boom, now look at that. I have gotten rid of that watermark, and my picture fits a little bit better. All right, so there's an option there. If you don't want to use an image, you could do something like I did. I just inserted triangles on my own, making a cool design. I highly encourage that you try to make your own design and not just use photos. But here we are again. We have this type that's over top of an image. Makes it a little tough to see. Now we could do a couple of things. I could change the opacity on these, but that might not do it for me. I could put a piece of color behind it. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on my hierarchy. So I'm going to make this smaller, move this up here. And right now it's left justified actually. I want to center it. I'll go up here to the centered button. Boom. I like how that looks. I can move it side to side till I find that line and I know I'm right in the middle. All right, and then we're going to move our photo to the middle as well. We like to have everything centered here. Maybe, you know what we'll do? We'll make it this big. Maybe a little too big. We're going to crop one more time. I'm going to crop it so it is not going off my page. See how that looks? Almost. I have my type over top here, which I don't want. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to crop that a little bit more. Hit enter. Boom. Look at that. I think it's okay. To be honest, I don't think this image is working here, but just for the example, I'm going to leave it for now. Lastly, you'll see that my ticket information, if we zoom in a little bit, it's half on the black, half on the orange. It's not in the middle. So I'm going to work on getting it centered. And then I'm going to pick, do I want it on the black or do I want it on the orange? I think for me, I want it on the black. Something to remember is we don't want to get too close to the edge. If we're really too close to the edge, like let's say like that, it's actually hard to read. See how it's really close to the edge of that orange? We want to bring that up. Boom. And that poster's looking a little better. I think it still has some work to be done. Those were a couple tips on that. Next up, I want to show you this one. Again, we have an image in the background, which is a cool image. But it's hard to read our type, and we kind of have some hierarchy problems. We have the tickets, and where to get them is bigger than the date, which I can't really read. And also these fonts, they're a little boring. So my first step, we want to make this readable. And this time, I'm going to do a technique where I take a shape. I'm going to put this shape across the whole top, just like this, centered and nice. Then I'm going to send it backward so the type is in front of it. And again, I'm going to move over to my opacity and I'm going to bring that down so I can see the picture behind it, but I also can read that text a lot better. Move that to the middle. And now we need to change that font because if you didn't know, Daft Punk is kind of like EDM dance music. And we want our type to fit that vibe. That doesn't really work. Closer. What do we think? Not quite. Green fuzz. Interesting. I don't think it's what we want. Komika. Hey, I like that. Komika hand. I don't know. Sometimes this takes the most amount of time. Ooh, that one looks pretty good. Let's go with it. And I can make it a little bigger. And I think we're going to add that shadow again. And if you wanted, you could change the color of your shadow. Ooh, orange. Now that is what I call razzle dazzle. All right, now we have to come down here and fix our issues with our text. Again, I'm going to use that technique that we used up here, where we took a box of information. We're going to stretch it across the bottom, I think. We are going to send it backwards. And we're going to bring that opacity down to about 50%. Nice, not bad. I think we're going to center again because I'm liking how that's looking. Move to the middle. Bam. We're getting closer. Something I think we could do is make this square nice and big. Move up our font. And again, we got kind of a semi-boring font. Let's see if we can't find something that's readable, but it fits a little bit better. Orbitron. I like how that looks. I'm going to take this ticket info. I don't think it needs to be this big. It's not the most important information. We're going to make it a bit smaller. so it fits on one line. Let's do that. Boom, boom, boom. Yes, there we go. We'll bring that down to the bottom. Put it in the center if we can find it. There it is, centered. And I think we're gonna make it black. Boom. And we wanna match it with our other font. So we'll go down to Orbitron. Bam, we've matched it. Oh, looks like we need to make our box a little bigger. Boom. Now we have all of our info down on the bottom here. And our hierarchy is much better. One thing I think we could do though, this picture, we can't really see Daft Punk. What if? Yeah, you know what? We don't need that. We don't need that outline. Let's get rid of it. What if we bring this down here? Okay, do that. Now that is looking pretty good. And then our background, here's a little trick. If we want to match our photo, go to the eyedropper on your color. It'll give you an eyedropper and you can go find that color. Bam, look at that. That almost matches perfectly. That looks pretty good if you ask me. All right, one or two more things to point out to you. I notice some people, when they use an image, they just leave everything black. And we have a little too much information here. We want to get to a point where we're relying on that image, but we're also using our design skill to make something cool. And look at this, I just noticed this. I don't even need that anymore. Or do I? Let's get wild here. There we go. Look at that. I want you to make your posters very cool. I want to see what you can do. All right, so something like this isn't quite going to work. Our information is not organized very well. We can, again, stretch this to one line, bring it to the bottom. You'll notice on a lot of posters that ticket information is always at the bottom because not that it's not important, but it is the least important information. Let's see, we want to have this. Okay. Maybe we'll throw a border on that. Black border. And again, we will center our font. Put it in the middle. Oh boy, sometimes that can be tricky. I like that Orbitron font, so I'm going to go back to it because I think it really fits. Orbitron, Daft Punk. Now let's find an even cooler font for this one. Tiza. Ooh, I like that. It's a bit big. Daft Punk. And do we need a shadow? Let's check it out. Now, if we make it that blue color, which is pretty cool. Can't really see it. Yeah, I don't think we need a... What if I make it white? It's all about experimenting. That's not too bad. And then maybe I want to do my own background. And I want to do maybe that. Yeah, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to pick a couple colors. And again, I can pick that dropper. Find a color in the background up here. Boom. Well, it's not quite what we wanted. We want this one over here. And this color with the dropper is going to be something down here. Boop. Look at that. Now we have a cool gradient background, but now my type's not working so well. So we need to change up that shadow. Can we go back to the orange? Now that is looking good. Uh-oh, look at this. We're not centered, and it's a bit big. We'll bring that down just a bit. It's not the most important information, but it is important. There you go. Otherwise, look at this. Here's one where you make all your own designs. All right. Opacities, working on everything. Making sure we have space around our items. If you look at these, you don't want to get too close to the edge of anything, whether it's a photo, the edge of the paper, the edge of a border. We want our font to have some space around it. All right? All right, now that you've got a couple pointers, it's time for you to move on to your second draft. And before you do, I want to say one thing. Don't be afraid to change everything, to make huge changes and overhauls. That's okay. We were just getting started, and now we really want to make the best design we can. All right. A lot of graphic design is about drafts, critiques, and changing your design over and over and over. So enjoy the process. Can't wait to see what you create.